The Bible does not talk about debt as though it is a sin. Some people believe that ever borrowing money is a sin. I don't believe that, but I believe that the Bible talks about debt in very cautionary terms. If you're going to go in debt, let me give you some parameters here. Only consider borrowing for essential or appreciable items. A house, a car, very essential items, especially those that are appreciable, like a house or things like that. But even in the area of cars, be cautious if you borrow money, but be cautious about those things. Don't borrow money for groceries. And that's what happens when you use credit cards and don't pay them off. Don't borrow money for things that are for vacations and things like that unless you have a plan of paying it off and have the means to do that. Save money and live within your means. This is the second thing about borrowing. If you can't save money, you're not living within your means. And a standard that you need to set for yourself is 5%. We're going to save at least 5% of our income. And here's what it means. If your washer breaks down, you don't go borrow money, you take it out of savings. If your refrigerator breaks down, if your car breaks down, we have savings. If you can't consistently save money, you're not living within your means. And this is number 3, downsize. You might need to move into a smaller house. You might need to sell your car and buy an older model of a car. Just downsize. Let me say this now. Financial stress will take all the joy out of all the things you put around you if you can't afford it. I love that commercial where the guy, is in the big house and he's a member of the country club riding on his lawnmower, cleaning his pillow. I'm in debt up to my eyeballs, and it's... So, all of the promise of what money can bring is completely robbed by financial stress. You're better off in a little house happy with money in the bank than in a big house broke. Because it just doesn't make you happy. It really doesn't make you happy. And let me just say, God wants you blessed. God wants you to have a nice house and nice cars. He really does. God wants you blessed. But the way that God does things is a little different. It doesn't mean you can never borrow money. It just means you have to discipline yourself. Because did you realize that there's always the next step? You think, well, if I had $1 million, that's all I would ever need. Actually, if you had $1 million, you would see someone with $2 million and think, I wish I had 2. I have this house, but I wish I had that house. It's never enough until it's enough. And sometimes you just have to stop and downsize. Only use credit cards if you pay them off at the end of every month. Just cut your credit cards up. It's the worst debt you could ever have in your whole life. It's terrible. It'll eat you alive. Is that if you're in credit card debt, you begin to pay that credit card debt off as a priority. Karen and I use credit cards and we pay them off at the end of every month. We don't borrow money on credit cards. And don't let advertisers make you discontent or jealous. That's their job. Madison Avenue, their job is to make us discontent with what we have. And we just have to be careful not to, and also, you go into a store and they offer you all kinds of credit to get you to buy something right now, and they say, well, 12 months without interest, and you don't have a payment for this length of time. If you have the money in the bank to pay that off in a year, go ahead. If you don't buy it. Because they literally can give you so much credit that it'll ruin you. And all that stuff starts crashing down on you. You have to deal with debt in very cautionary terms. Karen and I were in debt early in our marriage. We didn't, in today's terms, it wasn't that much money. Way too much debt. I'm telling you, it created stress in our marriage. And I remember when we paid our last credit card off, it was one of the happiest days of my life. We got that last credit card paid off. And so I understand what it's like to be under that kind of financial stress. And if you're under that kind of financial stress, what I'm saying to you is, bring it all before God and just say, God, we've made some mistakes. And we bring our finances and we surrender them to you. And from now on, we're going to pray about decisions. We're going to talk about decisions. We're going to let your peace and the parameters of your word lead us into financial prosperity.
Thank you for joining us. Partner with Marriage Today and receive the Marriage on the Rock series on CD or DVD. Follow your interests and get social by connecting with Jimmy and Karen and the Ministry of Marriage Today on Twitter. Marriage Today's latest book, Happy, Happy Love, will supercharge your marriage with practical tips, wisdom, and inspiration for every stage of marriage. Visit happylovebook.com. Become a rock-solid partner today and equip yourself with the tools you need for a successful marriage. $14, $28, or $56 per month. Choose the partnership level that's right for you. Become a rock-solid partner today.